90.5, the Flavor Station. It's your girl DJ Trisby, and right now in the capital city it is 7:02. That was Fabulous and Neo with You Make Me Better. And right now we have a special guest in the studio, Mr. Lamman Rucker, best known for his role as Sheriff Troy in Tyler Perry's Why Did I Get Married. As a Pittsburgh native, after settling in Washington, D.C., he graduated from the Duke Ellington School of the Performing Arts. He later went on to attend and graduate from Carnegie Mellon University and Duquesne University. This multifaceted actor has both taught and performed in the theater. He's also been in many fashion shows, commercial ads, and independent films. So without further ado, we would like to welcome Mr. Lamman Rucker to the 90.5 studio. So how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's nice to have you in here. And speaking of fashion shows, you're actually hosting FAMU's fashion show like right now.
That's right. I'll be jumping from one spot to the next. So.
Yeah.
I'm all yours right now, though.
That's cool. That's cool. You're hosting a show with Shekinah Anderson, so I wanted to know, what are you looking forward to tonight at FAMU, specifically fashion show?
Well, I mean, I think it's just always cool to, especially for us that are slightly more mature, to come back to the college environment and specifically our HBCUs, and kind of, always kind of come back, show love, represent. It's always good to get down south whenever I can as well. You know, I mean, I'm on the West Coast and I'm from the East Coast. I don't typically get a chance to, come down here and really spend a lot of time with y'all down in this neck of the woods. So
yeah, we glad that you came in.
Yeah,
y'all should see him right now in the studio. Y'all should see him right now. He's ready for this fashion show, y'all. Okay. And obviously you're an actor. So just for all the listeners out there, what initially got you interested in acting?
I mean, for me, and I think the secret is really, it's just about being introduced, to as many different crafts as possible. I think every single person on the planet is a creative person, has a creative spirit. It's just a matter of, how it's going to manifest itself. And luckily for me, I saw both of my parents always active in the arts and always kind of exploring and expanding their creative abilities. And I saw the beauty in it, the power in it, and I saw them utilize those gifts in a variety of different ways. So they were kind of activists, scholars, and at the same time they were artists. So it was always like this cool balance of, this creative ability. At the same time, they were, very, like I said, active in the community and political, and but at the same time very, very intelligent in other ways. So it was really cool to see how the arts fed into every aspect of your life.
Definitely.
So it's just something that I learned by example, and then once I had the opportunity to actually get some training and took advantage of it, it changed. It changed my life. So I'm glad I'm able to make a living doing it. But even though I do a variety of different things, these skills flow in. Again, even for me, they flow into every other thing that I do. So I highly encourage anybody, not necessarily about being an actor, but just, nurture your creative spirit, and even if you do something else for a living, there's a way that those creative gifts are going to make what you do, even better.
Okay. Now, speaking on acting, you can be speaking generally or even specifically with young minorities particularly, because as a student here at FAMU, I noticed that a lot of students, want to try to break into the industry, and it is, competitive and hard to break into. So what advice would you have for those students, particularly the minorities out there trying to break into the acting industry?
I'll say three things, and just to keep it as brief as possible.
Okay.
But it's because it really is kind of simplistic in a lot of ways. It's very complex. One thing is do the work.
Right.
I think a lot of people now, they just see everybody become some little whack popcorn star that can get famous, for who knows what reason, something that's on the internet, or, because they're out there acting a fool most of the time, or they get this one hit, show or song, or they get in one movie and now they think they're a star and everything's going to be taken care of after that. They don't understand the work and the process of maturing, growing up, you know what I mean, at the same time becoming better at your craft And then you just got to work your way up through the business, just like in any other industry. You can't just think you're going to get there overnight and stay there. We're just talking to Mr. Miles. We're talking about it wasn't about getting the station and getting into this new building. It's maintaining.
Right.
You know, once you do that, and if you don't have the foundation, you're not going to be able to sustain yourself. You know, so you might get there real fast, but trust me, you can fall off of there. You know, real fast. You're not going to be able to stay afloat if you don't have anything to stand on. Two, learn the business. A lot of people think it's just about talent. Oh, I'm cute. Somebody told me I was talented, or they think they were the prettiest girl in their school or in their class, and this dude thinks he's Mr. Hot Stuff, whatever. You get out there and you get up into out in the pond, you go from your little pond to that big ocean, and you realize you're out there with all the other people from everywhere else who was the man, or who thought, that they were, Miss Number One, or da-da-da-da-da. So it ends up being a lot more competition. And aside from that, even though, you might be very special and ain't nobody like you, because that's true, you still got to learn not only how to compete, but you have to understand how the industry works, And if you don't learn the business, you don't know what you're getting into, you don't understand the whole, like the whole machine, you won't even understand how to actually be successful. You'll think it's strictly based on the way you look, or strictly based on talent.
Yep.
And there's all kind of other things going on you have no concept about. You won't really know how to navigate. And three, I tell people, understand, again, this is kind of connected to two, but that it is a business. Don't take things personally. There are going to be decisions that are made that don't have anything to do with you, ain't got nothing to do with how you look, it doesn't have anything to do with how great your audition was, and anything to do with what school you graduated from, who you know, none of those things sometimes. It's strictly based on decisions and other parts of the whole machine that you have no control over.
Right.
So you just got to be willing to thug it out, not let these things, hurt your feelings, because a lot of people who are bitter or who have substance abuse problems and all these other things, it's because they got all kind of emotional issues and self-image issues and things like that are deeper than their involvement in the industry. But then once you get in the industry, all that stuff gets exacerbated based on what it's like doing what we do. It's tough. It's really tough. And if you don't have your act together, and you're not really formed as a person, and you're not strong, you don't have a strong spiritual relationship, and you're not really grounded, and you don't understand, again, the things that I already mentioned, I'm telling you, man, it'll eat you up. It'll suck you up and spit you out,
Yep. So y'all better have tough skin and thug it out, like Mr. Rucker said. Now, my last question for you is, I mentioned in your biography all the different universities you attended, okay? So whether you want to act, whether you want to be a lawyer or a doctor, could you please tell all the listeners, specifically the students, how important education is for whatever it is you want to do?
I believe, it's tough to say that it's number one, but I would, and especially in context of this conversation, it's number one priority, because in particular you consider how often that technically we're unemployed. If you don't have an education to, one, like I said, to sustain you in between the jobs that you have, no matter how short-term or long-term they might be, if you haven't developed the ability, just as you are right now, demonstrating how articulate you are, the fact that you understand and that you've learned how to conduct yourself in a professional environment like this, your interaction with all these other students from all, across the country, and in some places, in some instances, the world, right? The not so much just the collegiate experience, because college isn't necessarily for every single person on the planet.
Right.
However, whatever your education or training situation is going to be, you need to have the skills, because I'm sure a lot of things that are happening for you now, some of it, you always knew you could do, and there's other things you're surprising yourself all the time, right? Because you're being given the opportunity to put not only your gifts and your curiosities and your talents, but the skills that are being developed here. The thing about education is it structures, the talent that you have,
Right.
So the thing about life, in my opinion, is having that balance between, talent and technique, if you will. You know what I'm saying? What comes naturally, but the other things that have to be nurtured and have to be developed. So education for me is about, developing the skills that are required. Because I know people who are highly intelligent, but they open their mouth you know, oh God,
Yeah,
you're like,
me too.
you know, you're not going to get much further. You're not going to get any further than this conversation, because even though you're actually very bright, you just don't have, you know, you don't have the capacity to form what you're saying into an intelligent conversation.